I think it's about time I talk about Helstorm rocket batteries. Hey folks, I'm Dov, and yeah, we're here with the Empire today. This is a replay from Way. He's up against the Dwarfs on the, I believe this is the Volksgrad map. Very interesting map, and you can see off the bat already the Dwarfs are feeling the pain of 4 Helstorm rocket batteries. They themselves have 2 catapults, bunch of Thunderers. We've got Iron Breakers here, Hammers, just a Dwarf build, Beligar Iron Hammer, kind of what you would expect. Balthazar leading the Empire forces here. He's got 2 Witch Hunters, a bunch of unbreakable troops in the front line, Flagellants and Sigmar Sons. He's got Handgunners and the Silver Bullets. Silver Bullets actually do magic damage, maybe slightly less efficient here, but it's all good. The Rockets are, of course, the main force of this army, and Rockets immediately showing a few things that give them a distinct advantage over something like cannons. They do have pretty comparable range to cannons, but of course having an arc of fire, they can be used in a reverse slope position like this to absolutely just rain death on the Dowie lines. And how about that, folks? This is the stuff you like to see, right? Dwarf player obviously going to be forced to advance here. And the Rockets are obviously quite inaccurate, but against sort of static factions or board factions, if they're either occupying a large area or a faction that typically likes to remain stationary, whether that be coast, kind of fits into both of those categories, as do the Dwarfs oftentimes. Likewise, you know, another horde faction, I don't know, it's tougher to use against rush factions, but especially in a situation like this, Dwarfs is often seen as a matchup that's unfavorable for the Empire. And one of the things you can do to try and win is, of course, especially on uneven terrain like this, where the Dwarfs aren't going to be able to utilize cannons to try and counterfire artillery. You have, you know, even just a patch of woods to set up behind to try and block some of the shots of the cannons. Yes, it will still block some of the rockets as well, as you can see here, but quite a few of them get through, and one just needs to make solid contact with, like, the center mass of a Dowie unit, and it does really nice damage, just like that on those Iron Breakers there. See the balance of power already pretty forward, but that's a little bit deceitful. The Dwarfs are still going to make quite a run here, and even with all of the fire of the Rockets, this Empire build does lack offensive power. I mean, the Unbreakable Infantry will do okay, but their lack of AP definitely will show through. Balthazar's also taken a pretty decent amount of damage. He doesn't have Plague of Rust either, so the non-AP units will struggle. Mostly just here to hold the line, of course, and let the Rockets operate for as long as possible. But I will say this, I'm not a fan of the Sunmaker. I've been seeing it pop up a little bit here and there in tournaments and other competitive play recently. I think it's really hard to make it pay for itself because it has less ammo, right, than a regular rocket battery. It does fire very fast. It can dump all of its ammo very quickly, but I have seen it quite a few times recently even use all of its ammo and still not pay for itself, whereas the regular rocket battery at only 1100 really needs to get like 2 good contacts on the high value unit and it'll pay for itself, right? So it's very easy for these two. You can see the handgunners just get blasted by blasting charges there. That's pretty rough. The Iron Breakers, even with the damage they have taken, there's still quite a few of the unit models online. They've weathered that storm of rockets. See what I did there? Anyway, Helstorm, I'll stop. It did okay. The gun units, though, you can see having a little bit of a weird slope issues. This is actually a map that I'm a fan of. I don't use it in tournaments because it is a little bit imbalanced, but it's a very fun map in terms of lots of terrain features, lots of kind of broken terrain, different wood lines and ridges that you can set up on. It leads to some pretty interesting games. I may start using it more in my tournaments again, even though it is a little imbalanced because one player kind of starts on top of this hill here and another on the low ground. You can set up on this hill here or, you know, like utilize this big wooded area as well, but a little unfavorable for the player setting up on the bottom, but no one told that to Way and his rocket crew here. You can see, though, the balance of power is still kind of hanging around more or less where it has been the whole time, because as the Dowie units start to grind through in melee, if they can get to those artillery crews, they could potentially turn this around. I mean, really, the Witch Hunters will be able to get some okay damage in here. The Rockets are starting to run low on ammo, and the Dowie units are breaking through to try and get to the crews. Look at these Hammers, though. Man, they have just gotten hammered by Rockets. Okay, I'll stop. Oh, the Witch Hunters, I believe they deal magic damage with their pistols, but still, the amount of armor-piercing damage it does is enough to kind of chip away unit models, but some of the artillery crews have been inundated at this point. The engineer kind of gets in here, starts to mix things up, but that hammer unit just about got in. Actually does get routed. Belagar routs another rocket crew there. Handgunners are going to open up on him, and the swordsman able to kind of chase away. Sigmar's Sons even chasing away the blasting charges, but you can see that Dawi have got both of their catapults back online with all three models, so they can start to fire in, potentially equalize this out a little bit here. So Dawi leadership, very tough. But this could potentially be huge. Balthazar actually up on the horse, not the worst combatant in the world. 70 charge bonus for a caster is not bad at all. Comparable to like the Enchantress on her unicorn. Both of them pretty good charge. 43 defense is also not bad at all from Hold the Line. He's got 111 speed, or sorry, not Hold the Line, that's evasion. That's right. 50 armor's okay as well. I mean, Belagar versus Balthazar, that just seems so appropriate to say it out loud, but yeah, Belagar has really good stats for the cost, to be honest, especially with all of his buffs active, but I typically like to take him with none of his buffs, just take him completely naked, because he's super cheap. He's like something like 1,000 points, just has great stats in general, 60-60 baseline, good weapon strength. With all of his stuff going, he is actually a very scary combatant, up to 624 weapon strength and 100 melee attack, but fortunately he's going to get a little bit kited out here. You can see some of the rocket crews get back online. They immediately route to these hammerers, and the grudge throwers making their presence felt as well. We do still have some unbreakable infantry left though, and these rocket crews, the ones that come back, can get back online as yeah, the dwarfs can only be in so many places at once, and it was a good counter push by the dwarves. Still feel that balance of power a little bit falsely inflated due to Balthazar, but, and the Witch Hunters, I guess, too. Once, if they run out of ammo, I don't think they will at this point, actually, but if they were to, it would be an issue. Balthazar comes down, good charge on the engineer, trying to get rid of him. And at this point, the rockets have got their value, so let's check in on the different units here, if I can actually find them. This unit here, 144 kills. Oh, man. I don't know. All the other units are probably pretty much gone at this point, so we'll check in later. Oh, these ones, of course. Yeah, 86 kills there. It's good stuff. Very good stuff against the Dawi. I believe in his post he said something like, it's not a bad matchup if you outgun them, and that's true. That is true. I've tried something similar to this in the past and had mixed results, but instead of 4 Helstorms, I had like 2 Helstorms and 2 Hellblasters, but actually the Hellstorms, because of their long range, and as I mentioned, again, especially on broken up terrain, uneven maps with ridges, wood lines, anything that you can try and set up either on a reverse slope or behind something, even that it could be like a little rock or, you know, a village or something. Any impassable terrain, of course, is great too, where you can have a firing arc where your opponent can't shoot you with direct fire artillery. It'll be fantastic against both Coast and Dwarfs in those situations. Could use it also to pressure like a elf build, potentially. I have seen people use it to okay effect, like 1 maybe, against like dark elves or high elves. If you expect your opponent to bring a lot of infantry or infantry skirmish units, then they're a great counter for that. But in general, I would say do use with caution. I mean, 1100 points isn't a lot, but it is enough that they get taken out very easily. It's very cost inefficient for you, right? So in terms of range here, it is, I guess, not 1100 anymore, only 1050. So yeah, even just 2 good contact units on an elite infantry unit. So I guess if you do expect elite infantry here, maybe even chaos as well, potentially. If you see some chosen or even chaos warriors, like a whole wide line of chaos warriors, may take some decent damage here, and it won't take a lot for it to pay for itself. Only a few volleys making good contact. Yeah, 480 range is really nice, actually, better than the Great Cannon. And if we take a look here, the Vampire Coast Cannon, I believe, is the same as Empire, right? Yeah, 450. And then for the Dwarfs, I believe maybe the Dwarf Cannon's also 480. Let's check. Right here. 440 actually only. Interesting. So yeah, might be one of the longest range artillery pieces in the game. I'd have to fact check that, but it might be actually the longest range artillery piece, and the arc of fire and other things definitely offer some upside now that the rockets do really nice damage. So Helstorm rocket battery, probably one that you see quite a bit in campaign, probably very strong in campaign. In multiplayer, it's a little bit more situational, but certainly when used on the appropriate terrain and to the right effect, can be absolutely devastating. So big thanks to Way for sending that one in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.